back, and you're watching Breakfast Show on Nile TV International, and in this segment we will be discussing an important cultural event that takes place annually in Egypt. It's the 4th edition of India by the Nile, which is a celebration of contemporary and classical music, dance, theatre, visual art, film, food and literature. The exceptional program of this year, the year 2016, will provide an avenue for dialogue and collaboration, exchange between India and Egyptian literary figures, as well as performers and visual artists. And actually there will be a variety of activities taking place not only in Egypt, but, in Cairo, but in Alexandria, Beni Suef, Sharm el-Sheikh, and several Egyptian governorates as well. And to shed more light on that important event, as well as on the Indian-Egyptian cultural relations, I'm happy to have with me in the studio His Excellency R. Swami Nathan, the Ambassador of India to Egypt. Welcome, Your Excellency.
Thank you very much. Good morning to all of you.
Yes, welcome, of course. And first of all, let me ask about the India by the Nile 2016 festival. First, we are very much interested to know more about the festival this year.
Well, as you know, India by the Nile started 4 years ago. So India by the Nile 2016 is going to be bigger, wider, and more exciting than in the past. I've always believed that India and Egypt were and are two branches of the same tree, and therefore it is very necessary for us to connect, and the cultural connect is very, very important. India by the Nile is our flagship event.
Your Excellency Sanjay Bhattacharya, I'd like to ask you again about the details of that performance or that festival, please.
Well, we will be featuring 12 different themes during the festival, and it will cover 40 events across 5 cities in Egypt. We will start off in Cairo on the 23rd of April, and we will continue across till the 30th in Cairo itself. And during that period, we'll go across to Alexandria, Woodside, Ismailia, and Beni Suef. And it's the first time we're going down to Upper Egypt, so we're very excited about that as well. It will feature a classical component. We will have the very lyrical dance form of Odissi, performed by Dona Ganguly. She will be performing, her first performance will be at the Gumuria Theatre, and then she'll perform at other places. And we will be bringing something called the Tal Vadya Kacheri. This is actually a percussion ensemble featuring Carnatic music from South India. It's an amazing experience. So that's the classical component that we will have. This year, I think we would like to recognize the tremendous role of women in social and economic development. And our opening ceremony will be with the event called the Women of Substance, at which we will recognize the outstanding and inspirational work of Egyptian women.
So talking about these events, as you mentioned, you have also 40 events in the framework of this festival, and actually you're moving to some new places, as you mentioned, for talking about Beni Suef, for example, moving into Upper Egypt. It's also taking place in, first, as you mentioned, Cairo, Alexandria, Ismailia, Beni Suef, and Sharm el-Sheikh, right?
Well, Sharm el-Sheikh is not quite part of the festival, but there will be some performances there.
4 main places.
That 5,
so,
yeah.
5. Definitely this is something of great importance, especially you are moving to different places that one can say actually each place is unique on its own. So tell us more about the selection of these places, and how do you feel about each of these places?
Well, of course, the connect between Alexandria and Cairo to the people of India is very, very understandable. This is a millennia back association. But Port Said for us has a very special significance because we have about 50 Indian enterprises all over Egypt, and our largest investment, which is a chemical plant of TCI Sanmar, is located in Port Said. And TCI Sanmar is one of our principal sponsors. We're moving to Ismailia for the first time, and we will be featuring our best rock band. It's called Indian Ocean. Indian Ocean is internationally renowned. They have performed at Glastonbury, the Edinburgh Fringe, and in New York, all over. They will be performing for the first time on the banks of the Suez Canal. We believe in many ways the future of Egypt is linked to the Suez Canal. This is an area that is of great interest to India and Indian investments, and so we would like to show our solidarity with the people of Egypt and the industry in Egypt by having this fantastic band perform on the banks of the Suez Canal in Ismailia. Beni Suef is our foray into Upper Egypt. It's not deep enough like Luxor and Aswan, but we will be there, inshallah, in the next years. But Beni Suef provides for us a very important opening into the kind of cooperation we want in science and technology, agriculture, and therefore that's how these group of cities came up. And also I think the kind of programming that we will do will feature that connect.
Well, Your Excellency Sanjay Bhattacharya, I'd like to ask you more about the Indian-Egyptian cooperation, because you've mentioned, Your Excellency, how there are several fields and domains of that cooperation. So would you shed more light on the most recent ones, please?
Well, the cultural connect, of course, is the most endearing one. And I think it builds the foundation of an association, of a partnership that is most enduring. And I think in this, the role of the youth is very important. We have recently tied up with the Ain Shams University to establish the first Indian chair. In fact, it's going to be the first Indian chair not just in Egypt, but in the entire Arab world, and we are very excited about it. Ain Shams University wanted a professor of IT to come across. We have some expertise in that, and we are prepared to share our best with our friends in Egypt. So as we look at this cultural connect, it actually goes into many different forms. And therefore, we will find that during the festival, we will have the Indian Ocean Band again performing at Ain Shams University. It's the first time that an Indian rock band will be performing for the youth of Egypt at an Egyptian university. And we're very, very excited about it. Of course, there are other aspects which I think have grown enormously in recent times, and this is again the old connect of yoga, for instance. I remember when we did the International Day of Yoga last year, there were about 14 schools that teach yoga in the city of Cairo. Today there are 42. And so the yoga part of the India by the Nile, and we'll have experts coming from India for that, will be at the Al-Azhar Park, as well as at the Children's Activity Center, where we will have both yoga as well as alternative medicines like Ayurveda. Interestingly, Ayurveda, which is a very traditional medicine form in India, is as popular as Unani, which is the Arabic traditional medicine. So we have a segment on that as well.
Well, definitely now we can feel, talking about the cultural relations between India and Egypt, we can feel the awareness in Egypt and the way Egyptians are perceiving the Indian culture in general, and how much they are very much fond of this. Do you feel this as well? Just as you mentioned, for example, first time to have a rock band just playing here in Egypt, Indian rock band, playing here for the Egyptian youth, and the Egyptians, they are very much interested in such kinds of culture, music, movies.
Absolutely. I think there is no cultural connection without a mention and obvious involvement of Bollywood. So obviously that is going to be a very, very major theme. I think there's hardly a day that I spend in Egypt when people don't remind me of the very severe love that they have for Bollywood. And so we will have three different components of Bollywood. The first and the most fantastic is the Bollywood musical, which is going to be called Bollywood Love Story. It will premiere at the Cairo Opera House, and it will be a spectacle to watch. And I'm sure all of you who will go there will want more, because it is truly spectacular. Bollywood is the land of dreams, and how you can make that happen. It's the story of love and romance, and I think this Bollywood musical will bring it out in the most evocative manner. But we'll also connect with the young people of Egypt through a Bollywood workshop. Our choreographer, Gilles Chouen, will be coming along with the Bollywood team, and he will run a camp, a workshop at the Maidan in Cairo and at the Biblioteca in Alexandria. So I'm sure it will be a fantastic experience for Bollywood lovers. And then, of course, we have the flash mob, which will happen at the airport on the 22nd, when the Bollywood team just comes in. And that will be something to look out for when they mingle with the crowds and put out their numbers, their very, very earthy music, and the very, very enticing dance steps. So we hope you will enjoy that. And of course, there's much more as well.
Well, Your Excellency, the choice of the troops and bands performing, how did you choose it, Your Excellency?
Oh, we work very closely with Teamworks in Delhi. Teamworks, led by Sanjay Roy, is the leading curator of cultural productions in the country. And so Teamworks works with the embassy in selecting the different components of the performances. And it's very carefully crafted because we tried to bring in different aspects of our relationship. I just wanted to mention, for instance, that we are bringing in a celebrity chef for the first time to Egypt. And what Chef Vikram Udagiri will do is that he will curate what fine dining can be from an Indian perspective. Because fine dining will involve pairing with Indian wines, with Indian whiskies, and he will open at the India House during the celebration of Women of Substance, and then he will run for a week at the Four Seasons at the Nile Plaza. And the Four Seasons has been extremely cooperative in bringing this new facet of Indian cuisine. We're also looking at a very strong NGO component in this particular event, and there will be three facets to that. The first will be we will try and promote an interaction on street children. Both India and Egypt have similar challenges on this front, and we will feature a young professional who is today a world-renowned photographer, but he had started as a boy who is to live on the pavements next to the railway station. So there is a success story that we would like to share with Egypt. The second component of the NGO interaction is about the beautiful Nile. There is an environmentalist who has produced a beautiful film on the Nile and how it interacts with the society around it. It's called Jannat al-Nil, and it will be featured at the Hanagar Cinema. We hope to have a dialogue on the environmental front. We in India have many rivers, but we wish to learn from the experience of Egypt as to how you have preserved the Nile and kept it so beautiful. And the third part of the NGO interaction is on business, because in today's world, it is extremely important to have the business connect with culture.
Yes.
In which respect?
Because everything at the end of the day is linked to the market. And I think we should have creativity and artistic innovation, but it should also appeal not only to the masses and the people and the society, but also to the market. And that is the way that creativity and innovation can become a constant process, which not only keeps that creativity process going, but actually makes society move ahead.
Your Excellency, for this festival, India by the Nile, are there equivalents of it in other countries, or this is a festivity just dedicated to Egypt and the cultural event that takes place only in Egypt?
We actually do similar festivals in several other countries with whom we have very special relations. We do a similar festival in China, in Korea, in Japan, in South Africa, and And of course, we do a similar package in England. But this is an experience that is growing, and it's catching on. It's a very infectious bug. There are plans to expand it to several countries in Southeast Asia, where we have very, very deep and intimate relations. But for us, Egypt will always be special, because Egypt is an old friend and a very, very strong partner, and our cultural link is something that provides the foundation for an even wider partnership that we share.
Your Excellency, talking about you stay in Egypt, and as I understood, you have been in Egypt for 10 months now. So I would like to ask about your experience here.
Well, firstly,
I believe this is your second home, of course.
Firstly, I must say that we feel entirely at home in Egypt. You know, I think there's hardly been a moment when we felt that we've been so far away from home. We are very fortunate to live right by the Nile, which is the sustenance of the people and the country over here. I remember Tagore, the great Indian poet, had mentioned once in a letter to Shauki that the great noble river Nile, how it provides a sense of prosperity and stability to Egypt. And I've been very fortunate, because we've been able to travel around the beautiful country, visit many of your historic
what are the
touristic
places
sites.
that you've visited?
Oh, well, we've been around quite a bit. We've done the North Coast, Alexandria. We've been across to Port Said, all the way down the Suez Canal to Ismailia, Suez, Ain Sukna, down the Red Sea coast.
But you have not been to Upper Egypt.
To Hurghada? No, I have been to many, many places in Upper Egypt. We've been to Aswan and Luxor. We've been to Edfu and Kumombo Temple. We've seen a bit of this beautiful country, but there's so much more to see. But I think the most exciting part that my wife and I have felt about Egypt is the people of Egypt. And I think there is a very warm and endearing quality about Egyptians. And I think in that respect, we in India share a similar bond with our friends in Egypt. Because for us, society is important, family bonds are strong, and I think that connect comes very, very naturally.
Your Excellency, recently you've held at your own place the Color Festival. Is that true? Would you tell us a bit about that event?
Well, Holi is the festival of colors in India. It actually marks the advent of spring. As we move from winter into spring and then to the very hot summer, Holi celebrates that particular moment. But it also has a particular significance in terms of letting your inhibitions down, in sharing with your friends and family. And what better way than to do it with spraying colors, putting it on each other, looking so different and finding the beauty inside you. And through that, through dance and music, we celebrate it. I must say, Holi has become a global festival today. In fact, today, as we speak, it is being celebrated by about 2,000 Egyptians in Zamalek. And we've had 2 celebrations of Holi at the embassy and at the India House before this, for a very wide range of friends from the Egyptian and foreign diplomatic community. So we are truly excited about it. But this is the season when many of these festivals do take place.
Finally, I'd like to thank you very much. Thank you very much, Your Excellency Sanjay Bhattacharya, for this interview. Thank you, Your Excellency.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure being here. I welcome you all to come and enjoy India by the Nile. It's on from the 22nd of April to the 7th of May. Enjoy and have a great time.
Thank you, Your
And
Excellency.
good morning to everybody.
Good morning to you. Good morning. Well, by this interview, we come to the end of this particular segment, but we'll be continuing with the rest of our breakfast show, so stay tuned with us.
حنان